Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of AFC Leyton's Real Talk. This week we're looking at football journeys and an insight into our very own coaches. We have with us today our head coach Tom.
Hello.
Jake, our under-15s team manager.
Hello.
Tosin, under-11s Wyverns manager. Give us a wave, yeah. And myself, Louise, club secretary.
My first opportunity was with girls football. So the friend that recommended me this team was working with girls as well. So that came about. And there was some raw talent out there. And it, if you like, it got my ear holes kind of standing to attention, my eyes wide open. I was like, okay, there's, maybe I could work with something with this. So went with that team for a year. And then all of a sudden, once the first year's out of the way, you've gained all the experience of like the match data training, that sort of thing. Then you look into next season. Then you're looking at how can I strengthen, where can I strengthen, what players become available. And it's very similar to at the top level of the game. People ring up and say, "Oh look, my daughter's played over here. Can they come over?" Blah blah. So it was a whole new learning experience. So you almost got the season part, and then you got the off-season part. So then you go through a change with your squad. Better players come over. The older they get, the better they get. We went into schools and just tried to give the girls the opportunity to play football, and we just kind of looked at the talent that was out there, the raw talent, and got girls interested in football, got girls interested in Leyton, and like a firework boom, this is how Leyton become so big. I've said to many people that Leyton is an extended part of my family, and I'm still fortunate enough to work with players that I've worked with when I was a very young age. It's proud, it fills me with immense pride, just because you've been on that journey with them. And again, there's a few players that have gone elsewhere and actually realised that the grass isn't greener on the other side, and they've actually came back to us. So yeah, I hope players that I've kind of come across will look back on in 10, 15, 20 years, or even when they're passing on to their children, maybe my name will be dropped. Oh yeah, my first coach, Tom, and yeah, that'll be nice.
Like, all I've known pretty much when it comes to sport was football. Like, the area I was in, the school I went to, and obviously my dad's like a massive Arsenal fan as well. So like all of that kind of like basically incorporated me to just basically loving football. Like, everywhere I'll go, it'll be like easier to like start up a conversation, make friends, because of the fact that I played football. But like, I never really knew what pathway I was going to take. It was only when I went to America that I realized, okay, yeah, so football coaching is like kind of the pathway I do want to take. Like, what you're doing actually matters. And I feel like I've always had that interest, that I really wanted to like work with grassroots football, because I realized like the effect it can have on you was great. Because like, I didn't really like playing for my school team, but like when I had games on Sunday, I think it was like the best time ever, like best experiences of my life. I didn't fully open my eyes until like I joined Leyton. So like with Leyton though, it's actually a funny story. So when I applied to Leyton, I saw like all the awards, and it was all to do like with certain like competitions that basically like girl competition around Essex and around London. And then I even went on the website and I saw all the girls teams, but for some reason I believe there was a boys team section. So when I joined, so when I did come, I just, for some reason I expected there would be like a boys team section. Yeah. So then when I saw basically a whole pitch full of just girls teams, I was like, okay, this is interesting. So yeah, that was a bit of like a surprise, a bit of an eye opener, because obviously I've never experienced that, like a full team, a full club. Yeah, a full club full of just girls teams. So I was like, okay. And then it was only when I started coaching, so I got to coach a few of like Coach Harry's team, some of the Wyverns, and after I saw them play, I was like, oh wow. And then obviously, yeah, that's how I kind of got into like girls football.
Good. No regrets?
Yeah, no regrets.
I do actually remember the first day you came in, because it was kind of a group interview, wasn't it? It was a few coaches that came in, and you're not alone. A lot of coaches turn up because we're just called AFC Leyton, assuming that it is boys as well, or it's only boys. They don't actually realise that it is a female-only football club. So you're not alone in that. But no, all of those awards were trophies, tournaments are all won by our female teams. So.
The cricket match, I was, I had my helmet on, I had my pads on, I was waiting to bat, and I was speaking to a friend of mine next to me, and he said that he's been volunteering his time coaching. And prior to this, I didn't really have any ambitions to play.
How old were you at that?
Oh, I must have been like year 10. So how old's that? Like 15?
15? Yeah.
I must have been like 15. I had no ambitions of becoming a coach. I knew that my team was pretty much going to fold at the end of the season, so I was pretty much getting ready to just like give up football. But anyway, we had that conversation, and it turns out the coach that he was working for was actually an FA tutor. And he said, come down on a Saturday morning. So I went down, and he said, well, we've got a level 1 course coming up. Do you want to go on it? So I asked a few questions, and it turns out that particular course that we did was actually funded for us. It's all free of charge by Newham Council.
Nice.
I was still like umming and ahhing about it, because I didn't really know. And then, right, this is the thing that convinced me first, was that anyone that completed the course actually got a £100 check.
Wow.
So I got incentivized because I got paid £100 by Newham Council to actually complete it.
Brilliant.
So but if I'd never had that, if I never decided I wanted to go and play that cricket game, or if I was already batting at that point and we didn't play as well as we did, then I would never have even probably gone and done it. And then it was only like a month later or so we actually did the course. Obviously passed it, and then I was just refereeing at the time with my local football team, Buck Still, and it just so happens that they just started a new mini soccer section with under 3s and under 4s. So the guy in charge, he said to, I just told him that I'd done my level 1. He said, why don't you come and deliver the sessions? There's 2 sessions, 9 till 10 and 10 to 11. And I said, all right, I'll do it. Like, obviously, this is my first proper experience coaching. First session there, I've got a group of 25 4-year-olds in the first session. I've got a group of pretty much the same number in the second group. And, I had 3 in the first, I remember vividly, in the first session, I had 3 kids run off. I had 5 that refused to join in without their parents holding their hand. I had to rope in 2 or 3 parents just to give me a hand, just to have some sort of organization. But it was one of the most rewarding experiences I've ever had, because 9 of those children that are in those groups I still coach now, 7 years later, in my under 11s team. And 2 of the kids that run off were 2 of the kids that are in my team now. So I wasn't that scary.
But for all of you, there has to be an absolute passion and a desire there, because we are talking about giving up your weekends, and for either free or incredibly low pay. I mean, nobody is in grassroots coaching for the money, and that's and if people think there's any money in it, it's an enormous myth. It's not there. So what do you find keeps you getting up every weekend to be involved? What's your motivation?
Winning. Honestly, when you kind of, I think someone mentioned it earlier, when you sit down and you plan a session, or you plan tactics for a game, and then that comes to fruition in the game. I don't know, it has that sense of reward. It's just rewarding. I don't really have a word for how it actually feels, because like I know we were playing against a team that had really fast centre backs, for example, and you plan a tactic to not go up against them, but you go up against another weaker player, and it actually works. I don't know, it has that kind of sense of I can't even think of the word to describe it. It just feels really good that when you've come up with an idea and it's paid off.
What about when it doesn't pay off? What about when it all goes wrong? What's the Go on, Tom, you look like you want to say something.
After your first question, I think I've had a conversation this week with an ex-player, and we agreed on something that if you have conversations with people outside of the football world and they ask you that question, why'd you do it? There's no money in it, you need to get a proper job, all that jazz. There is no understanding unless you go through it. And I think going against strategies, coming up with strategies, your mind has got to work in a certain way. As you say, especially when it's cold outside, when it's raining, you put a coat, you put a hood up and you're still out there. I think, the love and care, not necessarily for the game, but also for the people that you're working with, they make it a positive environment for you. It's a culmination of many things, but for me personally, I know no different. I'm 31, I think, and a good 25 of my years, on a Sunday, I go out to football. On a Saturday, I go out to football. It's very difficult, that it's almost a habit. And again, that conversation I had with the ex-player, funny enough, I reached out to him because during lockdown especially, is football an addiction to me? Because, I've not had football in my life. I've not been able to do what I love doing. Obviously, I can watch it, but again, that's just a little bit of a torment. I can do that, but I've got to sit here and watch someone else do it. No, I want to be doing that. And it's an obsession for me. One that I can't.
Just building on that, Tom, about is it an addiction? I mean, even when I have two teams, I have obviously our under 15s and I have my under 11s, and when they don't have a game, I'm always seeing who has a game over at Leyton. Can I come and watch? You just turn up even if you don't have a game, just because it's a Sunday and a Sunday is a football day. That's what it is. For me personally, if there's no football on a Sunday, I don't know what to do with I really don't know what to do with myself, in all honesty. It's because, and as Tom said, 25 of his years, obviously not that many years for me, but I've been involved in football since I was four and five myself. So that's 17 years of mine on a Saturday and a Sunday, getting up early, putting on your kit, fresh kit that you've got out the night before because you're excited, or whatever it is, rain or shine outside, it's just a mentality that you've got to have. As I wear shorts for everything, and for me that gets me in the mood for football. As soon as I put my shorts on, I know I'm ready to get involved in football now.
It's funny what you just said, because that's just linked me to another thought, and one of which are a make-up of your own environment. Because how many children kind of grow up, their dad's a car mechanic, and that child grows up loving cars or knowing all sorts about cars, or someone grows up seeing their mum and dad cooking in the kitchen a lot, or baking, and actually they have a real interest in food and all that. So that has a big say on it. And then it's a case of, why not? Why didn't it go right? What can we do to make it right? And we go again, and the ball, excuse the pun, but the ball rolls forward again. And lo and behold, Jake and Tosin, I hope within a few years, they'll be saying, where's the last 6 years gone? Because that's how long I think I've been involved in Leyton. Time.
Yes, it is the 6th year. Yes.
My third year.
Exactly, and it's it is, as I say, addictive personalities. It's.
But I agree with what both Jake and Tom said, because for me, I would say it's definitely just a habit. I'm just kind of like used to it, because obviously when I was younger, it would be playing, just like Jake said, like getting your kit ready. But this time it's more like, getting the equipment ready for the Sunday for the game. So it's just like I'm just kind of used to it. Like it's just like something to look forward to, I guess. Like I know that Friday night, next morning I have a game. Like obviously it's just like I'll say it's definitely hard to explain because I remember Tom was touching that in the beginning. It's just one of those things that once you do it, you can do it. But for me, yeah, it's definitely just a habit.
You two are in a really fortunate position because it gets harder, and it's made so much more harder when you've either got relationships. Because again, if you get into a relationship where Saturday and Sunday is like, okay, it's relaxing, it's chilling time. No, it's football time. There's a clash. Secondly, if you have children. So again, I've just spoke about my boy kind of starting off in, well, he plays on a Sunday. Now I've got a predicament. Now I'm like, and that's a conscious choice that you have to make, and one in which that is tough, but you do it because something inside you says that's the right thing to do. Is it right for me to miss what I've been doing to go and watch? It's a juggling act, you know. I guarantee there'll be parents out there going, how the hell can you say that? But actually there'll be sporting people going, yeah, I understand, and there'll be positives and negatives, but there isn't a right or wrong. But as you know, have I seen Thai play? Yes. Have I seen other? Yes, I have. But my main go-to is going to be what I love doing and what I do for work. And as I say, if people ask me what I do now, I say I'm a football coach. I don't mess around saying, oh, I do a little bit. No, I'm a football coach, and that's, you know, if people want to get into how much that you get paid, and you know, if you want to judge me by my finances, and that's fine, that's fair enough. But again, kind of going off track, you get a couple of people in life in terms of people that are driven by money, people are driven by fame and kind of popularity, and people that are driven by being successful. And that's, I want to be the best coach I can be, whether I'm working up here or down there. I will still do what I do at any level, and if I can learn something along the way, brilliant.
Do you think there's a difference between coaching girls and boys in terms of a winning mentality? Do you feel that the mentality is the same?
I think there's like yes and no. I think there's three main differences for me. In terms of actual football, I don't think there's too much different. You know, like the man on or man mark, all them kind of sayings that are very aimed at, you know, at boys. You know, if I started saying girl on to my team, they'd tell me off for, you know, for saying that. So in terms of that, I think everything's the same. But when it is a loss, or when there is something that, you know, they might have said to one of our players on the pitch, I feel like it gets a lot more emotional, and it's just a case of how do we deal with that, and can we use our language different. I think that's for me the biggest thing is the use of language, and how you deal with situations. Just because when I play, if someone was to call me, you know, this, that, or the other, I'd laugh at them. But what I've noticed from my team is when that happens, they see they either, you know, get up really upset about it and become a little bit introverted, or they just see red straight away and go after them and try and smash them in the next tackle. I don't know. It's a bit more emotional in that respect to me.
Tom, do you want to add something to that?
It all depends on the coaching foundation first and foremost. And what I mean by that is we've seen it firsthand. We've seen players come over, and no disrespect, but they've been, oh, we've got a boys team, we kind of got something over there for the girls, but it's not been managed correctly. And you know, they're coming up against, within Leyton, they're coming up against strong players, you know, their own age, own sex, etc. However, if they're on a program, or they're given the same coaching as the boys,
yeah,
and treated the same, then again, we've got examples of playing against boys as a girls team, and if you just have a screenshot of just their legs, you wouldn't know who's who, you know. And so, as I say, you know, my coaching philosophy has always been ball manipulation, and you know, give every child a ball from an early age, and let them play with it, and teach them and guide them. And teaching a girl to a boy, in my opinion, boys will tell you, I can do that, yeah, but to what standard? A girl, I can't do that. Actually, she does it and go, yeah, you can. Girls lack confidence. boys are overconfident, and it's a balancing act. So, you know, when coaching boys, I kind of have to bring them down a peg or two to say, look, you know, you're not quite there yet. Whereas girls, they're a little bit like sponges. And again, from an early age, and this theory, girls are like sponges because what you tell them, they'll kind of absorb. Your coaching foundation will have an effect on their level of absorbing information. So, for example, if you're teaching a 12, 13, 14-year-old player and you're asking them to do such and such, a move, a pass, pattern, etc., if their level of foundation of coaching hasn't been as good as what it could have been, have they missed the boat, so to speak? No, but they're not. It's going to take a little bit of time for them to get it.
Do you reckon that comes down to how much football that they watch? I know my boys watch football all the time, but I know most of my, you know, under 15s, one or two of them out of the whole 18 watch football, but the rest of them don't.
Yeah, again, I think it boils down to that love of the game. You know, whether you play it, watch it, listen, it comes down to that love. So girls, I think society, we spoke about it before, but society does have a part to play on how quickly the girls, and I'm talking about girls of 5, 6, 7, you know, that kind of age range, how quickly they fall in love with the game. You know, guaranteed, if me, you and Tosin went to the same school, I guarantee we would be talking about football at some point. Whereas girls, they are probably, and again, you know, shoot me down for making this assumption, but our female players that we've got at Leyton, how many of them can go to their school and have a conversation about playing football at the weekend?
Yes, I mean.
And so that they keep it to themselves, and then that brings about all sorts of situations for their experiences at school, because they could feel isolated, because they like, you know, it's difficult. And you know, we spoke about how schools can be doing more to support girls and females in their sporting ambitions. But no, you're right. Female in general don't watch enough football, and to go back to the point about it being different in the men and female game, it gets harder as the females get older, as they develop and grow into women. And as you say, Jake, they are more emotional. You know, speaking to someone, and their preference was to stay in the man's game because he didn't have the understanding of how a woman worked at a certain age. And I can understand that. You know, if you haven't got that personality where you want to go out and help people, you've got one of those personalities that no, shut down, that's it. Oh, that's too much for me. Again, more information needs to be put out, guided, courses, coaches being given the opportunity to expose working with boys and females. You know, I think all of us are in a little bit of a blessed situation, having worked with both. You know, there's so many coaches out there that will only work with boys or girls, and I've always said, working with mixed abilities, mixed sexes, is almost, well, it's making me the coach I am today, and it will make me the coach I am tomorrow, because I'm kind of covering a lot of angles.
You have to adapt, don't you? You have to adapt and think about how you're going to communicate with each player on their own terms. So that is how you grow as a coach, isn't it?
Yeah,
absolutely. Tosin, how about you? You've been with us for 2 seasons now. So do you just in those 2 years, and I know it's been a bit disruptive, obviously, with what happened last season, the COVID, but do you feel that your coaching styles have changed since you've been over at Leyton? Have you had to adapt? Has some of your perceptions changed, perhaps?
I don't know, it's hard to explain. I'll say I'm definitely more of a confident coach because of Leyton. Like, I feel like definitely because of the experiences I had, and obviously managing 2 teams as well, which was like last season was quite difficult. So again, learning all the names, just to know that different personalities, know what works with this player, what doesn't, and making sure that obviously that I'm adapting to what they need. And I feel like this year, because I'm focusing on one team, again, it's also giving me another experience because I feel like I'm a little bit more close to the players, if that makes sense.
Where do you guys see yourselves short-term and long-term? Where do you want to take it? Is it about the next qualification? Is it about coaching somewhere? Is there a certain thing that you would like to achieve? What's your next step or your goals?
Well, within a coaching environment, my next step is to get onto the next coaching badge, A for B or whatever they're calling it now, because everything's changing. That for me is something I've been looking to do for a long time. It just hasn't worked out so far, but now having 2 years of 11-a-side under my belt, I think that has put me in a great position to get onto that. Long term, that's a tough question. Honestly, I don't even know what I'm doing tomorrow. So asking me about 5 years time is tough, but I'd hope that if I was still coaching in 5 years time, it would, be within a more of a professional kind of club environment. Because I've done grassroots for 7 years. It would be nice to go and experience like the elite players, for a while, just to see if I'm able to, do what I'm doing at grassroots. At grassroots, you kind of get someone from 0 to, somewhere around 50, 60, and then that's when they go to elite. Can I get them from 60 to to 100? That's what I want to challenge myself to do. I don't know, but because I've never been able to experience it really.
I would say I don't see myself going all the way to like professional football. Like I don't really want to coach in that type of setting because I feel like I'm definitely more comfortable in grassroots because I know it and I've basically lived it and played it. I haven't really played, or I have not played professional football, so I don't really want to get into that type of seriousness. So for me, I'll say after I do get my level 2, I'll say I kind of want to work like in an area or maybe even a school and just like promote just football in that area, just to get like kids from all levels of ability just to start playing football. So I guess like just become like a football development officer in a maybe a borough area or city or something like that.
Or the FA even. Yeah.
Yeah, the FA.
Tom, final words coming from you.
My aim is to die on the pitch. And that sounds quite, but I just don't see myself anywhere else. But I would like to seek full-time employment within the professional game. Initially, because that is the end goal. I want to be a football manager one day. But in the immediate future, I would like to find some form of mentor. Wherever I've worked, whoever I've worked for, it's either been me and me only, or me and me helping others out. It'd be quite nice for me to learn off of somebody that's above me, more experienced, more qualified, and just almost go and do a job that you're good at while learning on the job, if that makes sense. But my environment is limiting my opportunities to self-learn. Again, football is not what you know, it's who you know. So whoever's watching.
Yeah, Tom's looking for work. And on that note, thank you everyone for your time today. We'll be picking up on the next Real Talk. We're going to be doing these in 3 sessions, as I said earlier, with the rest of the AFC Leyton coaches. But that was fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for your time. It was great to hear your footballing stories, and I do hope that you do stay with Leyton as long as you possibly can. But I do appreciate that you all have your aspirations and your own future journeys. And last plug again for Tom. Tom is available for hire or to be mentored. Okay, take care everybody, and thank you for watching.